Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I've been a food delivery driver for almost 2 years now. You see a lot in this job. Drunks who can barely stand at their own door, sketchy apartments that smell like piss and cigarettes, people who act like you're a ghost, just some invisible hand bringing them their next meal. But nothing tops what happened on a cold night last November. It was around 11 p.m., and I was about to log off when a new order popped up. A local Chinese restaurant. Standard stuff. But the address, it was 10 miles out of town, way past the last gas station, deep in the woods where the roads don't even have proper names. Just Route 12 and a bunch of numbers. I almost declined. Almost. But it was a slow night, and the payout was good. I drove out there, my GPS leading me down a winding, unlit road. The deeper I went, the less I liked it. No street lights, no other houses, just endless, skeletal trees stretching their branches toward the sky like twisted fingers. My headlights barely cut through the darkness, and I had that prickling sensation on the back of my neck, like someone was watching from the trees. When I finally pulled up, my stomach dropped. The house looked abandoned. The windows were boarded up, and the front yard was a mess of dead leaves, tall grass, and rusted out junk. The paint had long since peeled away, leaving behind rotting wood, and the whole structure seemed to sag under its own weight. But the porch light was on. That should have been my cue to turn around. I mean, who keeps their porch light on when their house looks like it could collapse at any moment? But I was already there, and I wasn't about to drive all the way back empty-handed. I grabbed the bag of food, walked up the creaking steps, and knocked. Silence. I knocked again, louder this time. Still nothing. I sighed, shifting my weight from foot to foot. Maybe they were asleep. Maybe they forgot they ordered. That happens sometimes. I was about to turn around and leave when I heard it. The door creaking open. Not all the way. Just a sliver. A shadow moved inside. I clear my throat. Your food's here. Nothing. The door stayed half open, yawning like a mouth, and the darkness inside seemed to breathe. I could hear something, a faint rustling, like fabric dragging along the floor. Then a hand emerged, thin, frail, skin like paper stretched over brittle bones. It was shaking slightly, as if just reaching out required effort. In its fingers was a crumpled wad of cash. I hesitated. My gut screamed at me to leave, but my brain, stupid, logical, paycheck-chasing brain, told me to take the money. So I did. The hand snatched the bag of food from me with unnatural speed and disappeared back into the darkness. The door shut, firm and final. No thank you. No good night. Just silence. I didn't stick around. I turned on my heel and headed straight for my car, my pulse hammering in my ears. But just as I opened my door, a voice, right behind me, "You shouldn't have done that." I spun so fast I nearly lost my footing. My breath hitched in my throat. There was no one there. The porch light flickered. Then, with a loud pop, it went out, swallowing the house in darkness. I jumped into my car and floored it. The whole drive back, my hands shook against the wheel. I kept checking the rear view mirror, half expecting to see someone or something sitting in my back seat, but the roads behind me were empty. By the time I made it back to town, I had convinced myself I imagined the whole thing. Just my nerves, a trick of the dark. But the next day, I went back to the restaurant to return the tip. It was too much. I hadn't counted it at the time, but when I got home, I realized the wad of cash that Skeletal Hand had given me was almost triple what the order cost. When I told the manager the address, he paled. "That house," he whispered. I nodded, confused. "That house burned down 5 years ago." He swallowed hard. "No one's lived there since." I felt cold all over. My skin crawled. He must have been wrong. He had to be wrong. But later that night, when I couldn't sleep, I did something I shouldn't have. I looked it up, and there it was, an old news article from exactly 5 years ago. A fire. A family trapped inside. A father, a mother, and their son. But the part that stuck with me the most, the fire had started in the kitchen. The parents had died from smoke inhalation. But the boy had survived. Barely. He had crawled out, skin blackened and burned. But he was never the same after that. The article ended with a chilling sentence. He refused to eat. Said the food wasn't real anymore. Said he was already dead. I haven't gone back to that road since. I don't plan to. But sometimes when I'm out on a late night delivery, I swear I can feel it again. That prickle on the back of my neck. Like something or someone is watching. Story 2. I work night shifts delivering food, and I've seen all kinds of weird stuff. People answering the door half naked. Folks clearly high off their minds. Even a guy who tried to pay me in lottery tickets. But nothing messed me up like what happened last summer. I still think about it sometimes, usually at night when the world is too quiet. When I do, I get this sick feeling in my stomach like I shouldn't be remembering it at all. It was a normal order, just a burger and fries. Nothing fancy. The address was an old apartment complex I'd never been to before. It sat at the far edge of town, one of those places that probably looked nice 50 years ago, but had since rotted from the inside out. The parking lot was cracked and littered with cigarette butts, and the front door groaned on its hinges when I pushed it open. Inside, the hallway was dim, the overhead lights flickering like they were struggling to stay awake. The air smelled damp, like mildew, and something faintly rotten. I remember pulling my jacket tighter around myself as I checked the number on the door. 2B. I knocked once. The door swung open immediately. The man standing there was tall, painfully thin, and dressed in a suit that looked like it belonged in an old photograph. His face, his face, was stretched into a wide, unnatural grin, like someone had taken a blade to his cheeks and pulled them back too far. His teeth were so white they almost glowed under the dim light, and his eyes didn't blink. I felt my throat go dry. "You're early," he said, his voice smooth but completely wrong, like an actor trying too hard to sound normal. I forced a laugh. Just on time actually. Here's your food." I held the bag out, but he didn't take it. Just kept smiling, staring. The hallway was silent. Too silent. I don't know how to explain it, but it felt like everything outside that tiny stretch of dimly lit corridor had just ceased to exist. Like I had stepped out of the real world and into something else. After what felt like an eternity, the man finally spoke again. "You should come in." Something in my body screamed no. My skin crawled. My heart pounded so hard I felt it in my throat. I took a step back. No thanks. I gotta. The door across the hall burst open. An old woman stood there, her face wild with panic. "Don't talk to him," she hissed. "Come here. Now." I didn't hesitate. I bolted into her apartment, nearly knocking her over in my rush. She slammed the door shut and locked it, deadbolt, chain, even wedged a wooden chair under the knob like she had done this before. Behind us, the man started laughing. Not a normal laugh. A slow, deliberate chuckle that made my spine turn to ice. I turned to the old woman, my breath coming fast. "What the hell is going on?" She didn't answer right away. She just stood there, trembling, her eyes wide with something like terror. "That apartment," she whispered finally, "has been empty for years." I swallowed hard. "What are you talking about?" There's no one in 2B. Her voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. "No one alive." I wanted to tell her she was crazy, that I had seen him, that I had spoken to him, but the look in her eyes made the words die in my throat. We stood there in silence for what felt like hours, but in reality, it was probably only a few minutes. Eventually, I worked up the nerve to peek through the peephole. The hallway was empty. No sign of the man. No sound. Nothing. Still, I stayed in the old woman's apartment for another half hour, until the pounding of my heart had calmed enough for me to drive home. She didn't talk much after that, just sat in her chair by the window, staring at nothing. Before I left, she grabbed my wrist. "If you ever get another order here," she said, her grip surprisingly strong, "don't take it." I nodded numbly and practically ran out of there. When I got back to my car, I checked the app, wanted to see who had placed the order. It was gone, like it never existed. No record of a delivery to apartment 2B. No transaction. Nothing. I sat there for a long time, staring at the screen, my hands shaking. I don't deliver to that part of town anymore. I don't even drive past it. And sometimes, late at night, when I'm lying in bed, I swear I hear a slow, deliberate chuckle outside my door. Story 3. I've been delivering food for 3 years now. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills. Most nights are uneventful. Just me, my car, and an endless loop of GPS directions. Drop off the food, pocket the tip, on to the next one. But some nights stay with you. Some nights sink their claws into your skin and never let go. This was one of those nights. It was a little past midnight when I got my last order. A simple delivery. Large pepperoni pizza. One address. No special instructions. The house was tucked away in one of those quiet suburban streets where every lawn looks the same, where the houses sit in eerie silence, watching. The name on the order was Jake. I pulled up to the driveway. No porch lights. No sign of movement inside. Just the wind rattling the trees, sending dry leaves skittering across the pavement. I rang the doorbell. No answer. I knocked. Nothing. I checked my phone to make sure I had the right address. Just as I was about to turn back to my car, I heard the sound of a lock turning. The door creaked open, and a man stood there. Tall, thin, sunken eyes. His face was pale, stretched tight like he hadn't eaten in days. His clothes were wrinkled, almost too big for him, but it was his stare that sent a ripple of unease through me. Not the usual distracted glance people give delivery drivers. Not the tired, half smile of someone who just wants their food and to be left alone. No, this was something else. He looked at me like he knew me, like he had been waiting for me. The moment stretched too long. My fingers tightened around the pizza box, the heat pressing through the cardboard like a warning. Jake, I asked. His lips curled into the smallest hint of a smile. Not friendly, not grateful, just off. He reached out, took the box from my hands, and held it against his chest like a child clutching a favorite toy. Still, he didn't break eye contact. No, thank you. No, have a good night. Just silence. I muttered something about having a good night anyway, and turned back to my car, resisting the urge to run. I got in, started the engine, and threw one last glance at the house. Jake was still standing there, still holding the pizza, still watching. I drove away faster than I should have. The image of him burned into my mind. I figured that was the end of it. Just another weirdo, another odd encounter to file away with the rest. But 20 minutes later, when I pulled into my driveway, I saw him again, standing across the street. At first, I thought my tired mind was playing tricks on me. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, looked again. He was still there. Same wrinkled clothes, same gaunt face, same stare. My breath hitched. My fingers trembled as I locked my car doors, my heartbeat slamming against my ribs. He wasn't moving. He wasn't walking toward me. He was just standing there, watching. The street was empty, silent. No cars, no neighbors, no footsteps. Just me and him, separated by a strip of asphalt that felt thinner than air. I don't know how long I sat there, my body frozen in place, gripping the steering wheel like it could protect me. And then he smiled, a slow, stretched grin that sent ice crawling up my spine. Then, just like that, he turned and walked away. No rush, no hesitation, just a slow, deliberate pace, fading into the darkness between the streetlights. I didn't move for a long time, didn't even breathe. When I finally got the courage to go inside, I locked every door, checked every window, pulled the curtains tight. I barely slept that night. Every sound, every creak, every shifting shadow made my skin prickle. My heart thudded with the horrible expectation that if I so much as peeked outside, he'd be there, waiting. The next morning, I called my delivery service, reported the incident. They pulled up my records, checked the order history. There was no Jake, no record of that address, no proof that I had ever gone there. The order was gone, deleted, like it never existed. But I know I was there. I know what I saw. And some nights, when I step outside, when the street is quiet and the wind is still, I feel it. The weight of unseen eyes. The cold grip of an invisible presence just watching. And I wonder, if I turn my head fast enough, will I see him standing there, smiling, waiting,